God, these chains are too strong. I'm trapped in this dungeon and I don't know why. Last I remember, I was getting carried off by a bunch of bats. Then I fainted because what else would one do when being carried by a bunch of bats? And then I woke up! Here! Where am I? Where am I? Bats! So many bats! I'm gonna wreak a bat one if I can't get out of here fast. Wait, the bats are coalescing.
It is I, Count Ritula, the story vampire who will suck the lifeblood from all your wonderful stories.
Oh no, Count Ritula! Wait, what do you mean suck the lifeblood out of my stories?
I am a story vampire, and therefore I drink not the blood of humans or cows or whatever the Cullens of the world consume, but the heart and lifeblood of narrative works. Once I suck them dry, they will become soulless, completely devoid of any creative spirit, and instead more like something churned out of a corporate factory.
What? That's dumb. You're not a real vampire.
Oh, really? What, pray tell, is a real vampire?
Well, yeah, you got me there.
I assure you, my delicious little subject, I am as real as the bat guano you're currently sitting in.
Ugh.
You have undoubtedly heard of the stories of some of my victims. A few years ago, I procured a copy of the Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope script, sucked the lifeblood and creativity out of it, and then Disney used the result to make The Force Awakens.
Oh my god, that was you? Oh, you're so heinous.
That is just the tiniest fraction of what I have done. And what is that over there? Your latest new book series?
No, those are my proof copies of the first installment of my new series. Don't touch them, you fiend, you cretin.
I want to suck the lifeblood from your stories. I yearn for the taste of creative spirit.
No! Get away from those books! I worked so hard on them! No! No!
What a succulent meal. Your unique narrative about people fighting the bugs with muskets while riding giant pangolins has now become a standard teen dystopian paranormal love triangle story.
No! You monster! What do you want from me? Why did you capture me? Just to torture me with this?
I captured you because, after perusing your website and looking over your body of work, I think you have a promising career ahead of you, Matthew Donald.
Oh, well, thank you.
Of course. So, you see, I want you to write more stories and inject as much of your creative spirits into them as you can, so I can suck them dry and live forever!
No! No! Why would I agree to that? What are you gonna do to me if I don't? You're story vampires. You're not gonna suck my blood.
No, I won't. I'm not that kind of vampire. However, I do have a gun.
What? A vampire with a gun? That's kind of cool.
Yes, I have a flintlock pistol full of silver bullets I use to keep any werewolves in the area at bay.
Wait, there are werewolves out there?
Indeed, there are.
Are they story werewolves?
No, just regular werewolves.
Oh, well, that's a relief.
I will escort you to your writing quarters, where you will spend the rest of your miserable life writing stories for me to suck the lifeblood out of. And if you refuse or try to escape, you will eat silver bullets for breakfast.
But I'm not a werewolf.
It's still a bullet, you dummy.
I suppose. But wait, you're still a vampire. That means you're prone to all the classic vampire weaknesses, like wooden stakes or holy water. Hell, even regular water is bad for vampires sometimes.
Don't you try to pull any tricks with me. I'm far too powerful.
I can install a sunroof in my riding quarters, and I'll be safe from you then. And oh, your castle has Wi-Fi, so I can use Uber Eats to order a bunch of garlic bread. And then I have some religious friends, and they could mail me a couple of crucifixes that I can lodge into my door to keep you out.
Do not insult me, you pathetic human. I am unstoppable.
You know what? I don't have to do any of that. I could just not invite you into my riding quarters. Our vampires can only be let inside if they're invited in, so I could theoretically just do nothing and I'll be fine. God, vampires are so easy to deal with.
How dare you assume me to be a helpless weakling? I will see to it that you never leave my castle. You will write those stories for me, and you will...
Whoa!
Was ist das? Who dares to break into my castle?
I am Van Helsing, your nemesis, Count Radula, and I have been tasked by the village to rescue this rider you have so rudely imprisoned. Van Helsing! Wow, I'm so happy to see you! I thought you'd be taller, though, and more Hugh Jackman-esque.
You will not take my prisoner away. Bat minions, rain fire. Cover him in guano.
Too many bats! Too much guano! Whoa, Helsing, you shot off my shackles. How'd you do that with so many bats? Years of experience, kid. Plus an aimbot. Now grab my hand, the chopper's waiting. Wait, chopper? Oh yeah, it's the year 2021, I forgot.
Come back here, you mongrels! I will never let you escape, you hear? I will never!
Count Ritula, I hereby proclaim you are not invited to be anywhere else in the world.
Scheiß! Now I'm stuck in my castle for eternity! Oh, vampires really are easy to deal with.
See ya, Count! Maybe I'll catch you on next week's Sesame Street.
Get away from me, you annoying little twit!
Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of The Ritwit, the show about writing hosted by two award-winning writers. And that I won an art contest when I was 6, and David here won several sports trophies. See, award-winning!
In various venues of life, yes.
Yes, indeed.
Now, for what it's worth, I can't say that we've got a great segment to do before our final episode, so we're going to go straight into it.
Well, where's your passion? You know, that's what the thing we do. We have passion for these episodes, don't we? And speaking of which...
Well, I
Is
don't
that
know if
4 for 4?
I don't know if I have passion for this one. And speaking of which...
It's 4 for 4, baby, I think. Hold on, let me check. Okay, under research, they did that one. All right. Again, this is me ruining the old segue again. Okay, so, incompatible crossovers. I think we did that.
The three constants in the world: death, taxes, and ruining our own segues. Moving on.
I know we did the first one with
But you did the wrong segue for this one, see, because you said we're so full of passion, but it's about not having passion. And speaking of which...
Okay, so 3.5 segues.
I can't say that we've been there yet, so this is practically like a dream. Being such a successful author that your publisher needs a book from you post-haste, but it doesn't really motivate you enough to be your finest work. But they take it anyway!
Yes, they do. Boy, that does sound like a good predicament to be in. You're too successful.
You make your living from writing, so you put just enough effort into the story, but you're unafraid to admit it doesn't quite measure up the same way.
You know what would be really nice? To be so successful you don't even write your own books. You have ghostwriters.
Talk about passionless projects. Now hear the record scratch in your own brain as we come back to reality.
Yes.
The Ritwit constantly asserts that you write for yourself.
Yes.
So this particular story idea has to be the worst, in all caps even, to us, from this group of 4 bad story ideas,
I'd
right?
say so. I mean, I've okay, we'll get into whether we have or not, but I'd like to imagine most of the stuff I've written because I wanted to write it, and if I didn't want to write it, I'd stop writing it.
But the thing I'm trying to figure out here, writing in someone else's universe sans permission.
Yes.
Incompatible crossovers.
Yes.
under-researched projects.
I do those every day.
And passionless projects. Out of those 4, this has got to be the worst, right?
Sometimes
to us.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I think. I'm trying to get validation.
No, I agree.
All right.
I agree. I'm just trying to think of something funny to say.
All right, fair enough.
But I lack the passion.
And speaking of which...
No, it's a little late, that one, but yeah.
All right, so we get this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You get to a point in life, and sometimes you don't have the time, you don't have the desire to work on the story as much, but if you just have to do it, I think everybody's probably been there.
Oh, yeah. No, not in terms of, not necessarily creative writing, of course, but for projects of all kinds. And again, since the term writing is so nebulous in what it means.
Very nebulous. All right, so what other motivations are there for writing a project you simply don't care a whit about? And by the way, that wit is W-H-I-T.
This show can be called The Wit Wit.
The Wit. With an H.
Well, no, I was saying the first wit is W-H-I-T, and then the second is wit.
Oh, God, no. Because then you lose the writ thing.
Yeah, but it's more fitting. I think it's like we don't have a wit about a wit,
We don't know a wit about anything.
We don't have a wit of wit. Anyways, money, fame, fortune, a lost bet, contractual obligation, a self-imposed challenge. You get the gist. There are a lot of reasons.
A self-imposed challenge, you'd think there'd be just enough passion to get it out of this category, but nevertheless.
That's true.
Anyways,
there are a lot of reasons, and the bigger and more famous you are, the more likely you're going to have to deal with this.
That's true.
Now, of course, bigger and more famous authors aren't listening to this podcast, or maybe they are. I don't know.
If they are, get in touch with us. We'd love to have you on the show.
The amount of times I've burned George R. R. Martin on this show, I
feel He'll never come.
Well, I feel like if he has listened, I would have heard from him.
You get an email from his representative, stop defaming my client.
It's true. It wouldn't even be from him. He doesn't have the balls to do it himself. He gets one of his...
He doesn't have the passion to give a...
No, he just gets one of his unpaid interns. Anyways, speaking of fantasy writers, hey, you know the fantasy author Brandon Sanderson?
I've heard of him because of our friend Lawrence, but otherwise I didn't really know him.
He has a podcast I've learned recently called Writing Excuses.
Huh.
That's basically the exact same as this show. But more professional with far more listeners.
More like far more clout in the hosts, and that has everything to do.
No, to be fair, I don't think they have those skits at the beginning.
Yeah, I look at Brandon Sanderson's over and look at your list of complete works. I'm pretty sure which one weighs heavier on the collective conscience.
Honestly, just go listen to that instead. What do we know?
But we're still apparently better than you.
Unless Brandon Sanderson is listening to this.
In which case, please get in touch with us. We'd love to
cross-promote, please. Anyways, didn't expect us to go in that direction, but okay. What about you?
All right, in no particular order: assignment for a grade, task at the workplace, money in a pinch,
yes,
continued exposure towards fame.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure there are a couple others along those same lines as well. Doesn't make it fine art, but it does pay a bill that you need, or appeases the publisher for a time.
Let's say, yeah, you're not going to appease the stewards of the world with this.
More on that.
This is like, it's not art unless it's confusing and doesn't appeal to anyone.
Stuart, you do not need to keep coming up from your mother's basement to make comments on our podcast. Thank you!
But I just turned 14. I'm a professional.
Isn't it hilarious that usually I'm the one doing that?
Yeah, I think you're a pretty good impression
you are.
Of your impression of the very real person, Stuart.
This podcast is 100% real and 100% filled with passion, folks. Believe it.
All right, well.
How can you avoid undertaking such trap ideas?
Well, the more successful you are, the more unlikely you'll be able to avoid having to write a project you're not particularly passionate about. Your publisher will be like, all right, we need 5 novels by Christmas, 3 of them about vampires, 2 of them about dystopias, and all of them over 70,000 words long, and then we'll let you write whatever little story you want to write.
Just to clarify, listeners, imagine how hard it would be. We're recording this in October.
Yeah.
So think about turning that around in less than 3 full months.
Yeah, that's multiple NaNoWriMos, and you'll hear all this and you'll be like, okay, and then go off to write.
Well, I mean, to be fair, yeah, no,
because you want to maintain your professional relationship with your publisher, and the world sucks. So basically, rather than avoid entirely, your best bet is to force yourself to get passionate about it.
Yeah,
and there are ways. We'll
that I was going to say there's definitely a follow up to what he just said there. But I'm thinking, multiple NaNoWriMos. Every single one of them is a NaNoWriMo by itself. But there are still people crazy enough that they probably have written that many words in a single month.
The
for NaNoWriMo.
The record, I think, is several million. So
I'm not getting there.
Just like that guy must.
Actually, it's really cool though.
Yes.
Like the NaNoWriMo site has lifetime statistics. If you register your novels and stuff, it'll track it for you. And I think in my career, I've passed. I think I have passed 1 million words.
Total,
not for one story, but
yeah. Well, cool. Congrats. I think I've passed 1 million words.
I think I'd have to look again. It's been a while since I've accessed it. Because obviously it's not November.
Oh, man.
All right, now,
yes.
The silly answer to this question.
Yes.
Don't be so famous / successful.
I'm really good at that so far.
So far, you say. So the serious answer...
I'd wager forever, but yes.
The serious answer...
I'm a book Tesla that's coming out soon, listener. Okay.
Speaking of being professional, serious answer, though, don't write them and dig deeper for something that does tickle your fancy somehow. Or... you could, gasp, find something within this forced product that you can enjoy / be proud of.
But there's no passion. How can I enjoy it without the passion?
There are ways.
Just go full Vulcan. It's all about the data.
It's all about the hard concept of logic.
Yes. If you get emotional about it, that's your human half, Spock.
Can you exceed the limits of such an awful germ to make good content?
All right, sit back.
All right.
Let me tell you a story about a little author named...
The little author that could.
Little author named Chuck Dick, or should I say Charles Dickens. Okay. After his last few books tanked... His publisher...
I can't believe that. Oh, my God.
His publisher... Sounds like a name for a chicken and a duck, doesn't it?
It sounds like we've gotten to Ritwit after dark because we're recording this after dark.
What do you tell you about this time of night? It changes the vibe.
It changes you, man.
All right, so his last few books tanked. His publisher told him he needed to hit ASAP or he'd lose his reputation and sever his relationship with his publisher. Christmas was a few months away, so Dickens was like, let's write a Christmas novel, knowing it would sell well thanks to his name in the holiday season. But since Christmas was only a few months away, he needed to crank it out and crank it out fast. And this was in 1843, a few decades before typewriters.
Yeesh.
So he had to handwrite it.
Good Lord, don't screw up.
Do you think he was as into this story as he was about Great Expectations or A Tale of Two Cities?
Depends how much ink was in the well. If he ran out, then he wasn't into it anymore.
It's true. You and your literals.
You literals just kill me. Are you sure?
Anyways, all right. So, no, he just needed a hit after a series of flops, and he knew this would suffice. So he sat down, locked himself into his office, and in the span of a few weeks, wrote a classic piece of literature we all know and love.
By the way, it's worth mentioning Great Expectations, I believe he considered to be his finest work.
Yes, he did. We all have great expectations for that book. And
probably decent expectations for A Tale of Two Cities as well.
Yes, but anyways.
So
what
did he write for that Christmas?
He wrote down wrote a classic piece of literature we all know and love, and that work was, of course, Oliver Twist. Just kidding. Just kidding. It was A Christmas Carol, and it's one of the most celebrated and beloved works of literature of all time. Yet Dickens wrote it purely for the money, and later dismissed it as sentimental fluff.
I mean, it is pretty sentimental, but...
Point is, if he can do it, so can you.
I mean, have you seen when a children's picture book author writes like 70,000 copies of the same story just to keep publishing things?
No.
Pretty sure they can do it too.
Yeah.
Just saying. Anyway, all right, for my actual answer to this question.
Yes.
Yes, if you're that good at writing creative stuff, a la Chuck Dick.
That just makes me think of that Friends episode where they have the chick and the duck, and they're like, it'd be funny if our chicken and duck had a kid. We could call it Chuck or Dick.
We'll name it Richard and split the difference. Anyway, your lack of passion will probably show despite any florid vocabulary you might use. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel as witty, as captivating, any other number of various complaints in comparison to the usual output.
Right.
But it might just be the story some reader needed at the time.
You never know.
And no one can say it's objectively bad when such a prominent author is behind it, right?
I mean,
the
hopefully.
moral of my answer...
The moral of your answer?
Just because you don't brag about it doesn't mean it won't really hit with someone experiencing your story.
That's true. That's the thing. You never know what works will touch people in what way. Oh, that sounded dirtier than it meant it to be. But
songs.
Yes.
As a singer, in doing something at a show, I have lost track of the number of times I've heard other performers say an audience member came up to them and said, "That was just what I needed."
Yeah, exactly. No.
And you don't know when they come in, when you get there to do the performance, that's going to be the thing. Their life might be changed. All because of what you took part in doing.
Well, I've talked about this before on the show. Most people's favorite Pixar movie is not usually Monsters University, but that one just hit me hard because the message of the movie, which I've talked about in the show repeatedly, that point where even though you haven't seen the movie, you know what it's about.
I know the moral, yeah.
Yeah. It's just that just hit me hard, man. The whole message behind it. It's exactly what I've needed to hear all my life. And it's...
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Fun segue here. It's a slightly long one. I remember in my high school days, we had to write a creative story for an assignment.
Yes.
And I decided to do a thing where the main character was experiencing a problem that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And by writing about it, it helped me resolve my problem.
Yeah. Okay, that happens sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, just writing stuff down. There are times where I've been upset and angry, and I don't know how to express it, so I just write it down,
I mean, writing forces you to find a way to express it.
Exactly.
So, and using that as the segue into this last question, because school assignments are probably going to be a prominent answer.
Yes.
Do either of us,
Yes.
the two twits,
Yes.
have any examples of us having to write something we didn't want to and finding a way to make it fun?
I had to write a few stories for my short story classes that I wasn't particularly interested in. Specifically after my first story, after they workshopped it to death and wanted it to follow.
Thrown to the wolves, more like.
I mean, to be fair, that is the point of the class. So it wouldn't be much of a point. It's this is great. Thumbs up.
Two thumbs up. Nothing to recommend. Don't do anything different next time. You're good. That doesn't help anybody.
I think I mentioned this way back in episode 6. Criticism and other feedback. There was this one...
Ding. You probably did.
Yeah. There was this one poor student that I was just having a particularly bad day.
And you just took it out on him.
Their story I didn't like. And I said, the only thing you could do to fix this story would be to start over.
What goes around comes around, karma.
Maybe that's why my life has sucked since then. Or actually, my life has sucked in general. Because of that one thing I've made. Nah, it's fine.
It's not always helpful because we can't help ourselves taking our frustrations out on other people.
Yeah, but...
The first time that my college-era girlfriend, the first time I said anything to her, I was making fun of her knee brace because I was having a crap day.
Making fun of her physical impairment.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrible, right? And she still decided to date me. What the heck? Anyway,
I love how you brag or you're just look at me and my college era girlfriend.
For what it's worth,
look at you just flaunting.
I do need to put them apart.
Flaunting, all the girlfriends you've
all
had.
The 2 of them ever. But anyway,
hey, it's better than the one I've had.
No,
so,
but and
I am available, lady.
You want to see a picture? Go check out his website.
Subscribe to my OnlyFans. No. Okay.
No, but
anyways,
when you take things out on other people, she she realized that it was more like a plea for help than actually trying to make fun of her.
That's true, and hopefully this other person thought that. But anyway, so like to satisfy the cravings of this class, to be like, it's got to do this thing and this thing, I made sure my next couple stories had elements more to their liking.
Were they to yours?
That's the thing. I also did what I could to make it fun for myself and incorporate elements I liked as well. While my first story wasn't particularly well received by the class, the next two were for sure. Although my final one wasn't, again, because I was stuck on an ending and haphazardly did a big Deus Ex Machina to get it finished in time.
Gee, that sounds like mailing it in. Talk about a passionless project.
It wasn't so much passionless, just ran out of time.
Sounds like he was a little too ambitious.
Give me a couple weeks and
I can make this into something great just to watch.
Would have turned into a nice 3-star.
Just call me Dickens.
Let me chuck this in the bin. But anyway, but I was gonna say I could make it like a nice 3-star story rather than a 1.5-star story. Just give me a bit. Anyways, what about you? Have you written anything like that you didn't want to but had to make it fun?
This might sound weird, but personally, no.
Oh, look at you privileged writer.
Well, I was always highly motivated to do the stories that I planned to tell.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And with no mandates forcing me to do this in order to, all of those hyphenated, nonsense. I don't have to do that nonsense. I write for fun. And only if I feel like I still have passion for the characters I'm crafting.
Right.
That said, you might be wondering about those papers for academic stuff.
Yes.
While I won't say with a straight face that the entire process was desirable, I was still highly motivated. The reason was twofold. Prove how well I could use the English language.
Yes.
And earn good marks for doing a bang-up job. And that was fun to see the results match my effort.
That'd be nice.
Sure, I'm basically avoiding the thought that this isn't fun despite some lesser moments within the assignment process. But I'd like to think I'm gifted enough with the written word to make all those things enjoyable to create. And I certainly enjoyed the end results.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Enjoy
the end results.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, even if I don't necessarily come to it from a place of I want to do it, I get to a place of I'm proud I did it.
That's the thing. Like, and I guess some of the stories that or just some of the creative works in general, I've just slogged through. I'm just like, boy, howdy, I'm glad I finished it, and I'm glad that it turned out the way it did.
Well, it depends. Is it to the point of, oh, God, I'm glad this is over? Or is it, oh, good, I'm glad I did it?
I have not had one where I've yet been, I'm glad this is over so far.
All right, fair enough.
Unless, again, the definition of writing is so nebulous that it could be anything. But no. Anyways.
Speaking of writing, some fans have written in.
Yes, they have. Some fans have written in via mail.
So we get to reading the fan mail.
Yes, that's us.
That
reading.
Said,
yes.
We haven't received too many contacts in between the sets this go around.
No. We even gave them extra time of a week just for them.
Yeah, I know. Just
Not for our own sanity, but...
It happens. Yeah. Anyway, one intrepid listener wanted us to share the excerpt they wrote using a previous vocab vitamin.
Ooh.
And we're all here for it. So, without any further ado, do you want to read this or should I?
I'll read it.
Okay, so this is from Robin R. in Nevada.
Was this the Red Robin himself? Yum.
Just read it.
All right. She couldn't stand the smell walking in the room. The smoke from still-lit cigarettes mingled with the lasting vapors of days-old smoke, still hanging in the air because the room had terrible ventilation. When that dastardly combination assaulted her... What is this word?
I believe they're going for olfactories.
Olfactories. Oh, I read that wrong. I was reading factories. I didn't realize that was an assaulted her olfactories. She was inclined to cough up the bounteous lunch she'd recently eaten prior, but with a great effort, she kept the bile back and tried closing her eyes to center herself with a deep breath. That was a mistake, because despite having the presence of mind not to breathe in through her nostrils, taking all that smoking air in set her coughing hysterically. There was no way to recover from this first impression either, because the smokers were looking at her bemusedly. Sorry for the fragrance of this place, one man dressed in a nice Italian suit and brown penny loafers said as he came over. His smile revealed yellow teeth, and to get a whiff of his bad breath nearly made her head spin. We don't usually get too many clean folks around here. We'd have cleaned up a bit, said another, pointedly flicking the ashes off his cigarette towards the floor, and she noticed a small rising wisp of smoke. Not that it changed anything. Cigarette smoke was already so ubiquitous in this space.
I mean, wow, what a description, right?
I definitely can relate to, holding back in the vomit. Based off of, not because of any smoker stuff, but because of a terrible antidepressant I took.
I am so sorry, Robin, that his takeaway is that I can relate to the holding back vomit.
Not because of smokers, but because of antidepressants.
Man,
yeah, that was pretty good, Robin.
Yeah, I mean, it's really graphic description of the space. Like, we don't even need to care about the walls because there's so much invested in the aroma.
Yes.
It's almost like anytime somebody talks about grandma's cookies, you start smelling your own grandmother's cooking.
Yeah. My grandma didn't make cookies. She made rolls. They were good rolls, though.
Well, whatever it may be, I mean,
man.
it's a really graphic description. So I wonder if Robin, really, you must not like any smokers at all.
That makes sense.
It seems like you really abhor this, or else you wouldn't be so over the point.
I mean, they don't allow smokings in restaurants anymore, so
anymore.
So
thank
Red
God.
Robin would undoubtedly not like the smell of smokers,
For what it's worth, I was impressed at the amount of vocabulary that went into this. Like, I probably could use
olfactories.
I could probably
bounteous.
use about like 7 of these words as vocabulary vitamins that we haven't even done yet. That's amazing.
Nostrils.
Well, okay,
What
that's
is
not
that?
really a vocab vitamin. But,
What is it? Is that a type of orifice?
well, yes, it might so happen to be one of 2 on your nose.
One of 2. Huh? Do I have any other orifices?
Well, you might have other orifices not on your nose.
Oh, okay. I like how this British character.
This
character comes into some of the skits later.
Oh,
yes, there
gosh.
goes. They're using the orifices.
I should not tell that joke on the air. I'll just tell.
I'll edit it out.
I'll
I want to
tell
hear
Donald
it
later.
All right, on the way home, drive home. Tell me the orifice joke.
You're exactly right. Anyway,
what else do we got? Okay.
All right. So the next email that I thought interesting to bring up, and thankfully he had no issues with us sharing this stuff, came from dedicated listener Pablo T. in New Mexico.
Nice.
Pablo wrote, "Ever since you mentioned this in the Witties, I've been scanning every release you two put out for news on the upcoming podcast venture from David. What's happening with Nerds Are Us, and why hasn't it come out yet? You're almost out of time to make that comment accurate."
Well, it's true. We did say it would come out this year. Come on, chop. What's going on? What's the holdup?
Dedicated listener, Pablo, I appreciate it. Many thanks for paying close attention to our Witties episodes this time around.
Cared more about them than one of our co-hosts, I bet.
Definitely so. Passionless projects, anyone? All right, we did mention, to explain for those of you at home wondering what's going on, that we hoped to rip off Nerds Are Us in 2021 because I was very gung-ho about the project.
That's true.
To be clear, I'm still very gung-ho about the project.
Yes.
But unfortunately, life has gotten in the way lately.
Yes.
My intent is to have some episodes in the bag, ready, so I can space out releases without needing to churn for more content, given that my co-host over there and I hold busy lives, especially now that I have an honest-to-God job.
It finally happened.
Such that we could fall behind, and that's not exactly ideal for starting out.
Yes.
Saying that, one of our episodes had major technical trouble, such that I couldn't salvage anything.
Oh, that sucks.
Which means needing to re-record the entire thing and coordinating schedules to make that possible, and that proves challenging of late.
Yes.
Now, I am closer to my desired runway on episodes, and I'm looking forward to bringing that content out just as much as you obviously are, Pablo. But I hope you'll continue being patient with me as I work out some kinks and figure out just how much I can use before starting the train out of the station too soon.
Yes, indeed.
In the meantime, I really appreciate your continued interest in this podcast as well, because it sounds like you enjoy what you hear, or else you wouldn't be checking every single release for news on Nerds Are Us.
I would like more listeners like that to check out every release.
For those of you hoping to get in touch with us,
yes,
be it said ideas, passages from a work for us to look over, excerpts with a vocab vitamin like Robin so graciously provided, comments, suggestions, Rotten Tomatoes, things directed at other products of Matthew Donald.
Paleo Bites.
We'll
Upcoming.
tell you how in about, 10 seconds. Go.
That's it for this week. Oh, wait, sorry.
A huge thank you to all our patrons, by the way, including Matthew H. Your support means the world.
That's it for
to
this
us.
week.
Oh, come on.
I was waiting 10 seconds.
No, I was saying the whole contact thing would be about 10 seconds. I almost
Well,
timed
whose
it.
fault was that?
You're the one for yours because you interpreted it wrong. I knew what I was
You
doing.
wrote it that way. All right. Look, yeah, huge thanks to all our patrons so far, including Matt H. Contact us at mattd@matthewdoncreator.com for your questions to either co-host.
And again, if you want to specify David or Donald, that's really helpful for us.
Yes.
Context with Pablo's was very easy for what it's worth.
Yes.
But you could one-up Pablo by including David or Donald next time. Just saying. Thanks.
I feel like if they talk about Paleo Bites or Nerds Are Us.
Exactly. Context.
Yeah.
But
then they talk about, I don't know, like the
if it's Ritwit.
or like in just like, hey, listen to this episode of the Joe Rogan show. Why'd you say this thing? I'm like, we were never on that. We will never be on that. Anyways, all right. You can follow me personally at Matthew Don Creator on Facebook, at Matthew Don 64 on Twitter, and Matthew Don 64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because that's how many skulls I've collected for my Halloween decorations this year. Now, how did I collect the skulls, you may ask? Well, see the last episode of Wyatt. It's Y64 joke. Get vaccinated, folks. Anyways.
Ding.
I don't know if you realize this, but I'm a psychopath.
Police! Save me!
Hey, to be fair, I didn't kill them.
You didn't. Apparently something else did.
Yeah, the coronavirus. That's the thing I was talking about.
Oh, boy.
Which I made in a lab.
And on that lovely, not morbid
I'm
note
Matt
for
Donald.
Halloween, I'm Matt David.
Yep. Get a vaccine from the
We've managed to write the good write,
Yes.
writ the good writ, and all that other jazz. that
Stay
has nothing to
safe,
do
wash
with
your
it.
hands.
Hey, hopefully you have a fun holiday season. Don't go too crazy. Don't scare trick-or-treaters out of their minds. Are they listening to this before Halloween or after?
This is just before.
Just before. So,
Okay.
hey, if you got a cool costume, take pictures. Share them with us. We told you how to get in touch. We'd love to see what you got.
Especially if it's writing themed or Ritwit themed. I want to see a Gaston Crayon de Papier costume.
That would be amazing. But you know what would be awesome?
Captain
is, Captain Rit would be cool. No, I was going on if you want a good inspiration, look at what Donald did years ago with the serial killer. That was amazing.
I am pretty proud of that costume. Box full of cereal. That I just...
Was it even full of cereal?
No, it wasn't. It
I was about to
just
say.
an empty cardboard box. It just stabbed with a knife and had blood all over it. It was pretty good. Man. But no, we should celebrate Halloween this year because we actually have a Halloween this year. We did not.
It is true.
And
this year, it's still on a weekend.
That's true. It's not quite the perfect Halloween we got last year where...
Yeah, the gift-wrapped Halloween that nobody could do anyway.
Yes. Saturday, full moon. Again, just before daylight savings, which meant that the parties could have gone on an extra hour.
Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll be back next time with a new set.
Whatever it may be.
From the two twits of the Ritwit. Until then, take care.
Bye.
The
Your unique narrative about people fighting the bugs with muskets while riding giant pangolins has now become a standard teen dystopian paranormal love triangle story.
No! You monster!